Hi, Aditya. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Havish. Thank you
So,
for
my pleasure.
actually inviting me.
My pleasure to have you with us. We had been planning this for a while, and I've been asking a lot of students to collate the questions that they have for me that they would like me to ask you. So, bunch of things I want to talk about. But before we deep dive into Power Query, I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how you got into the world of data analytics and Power Query.
So, actually, the thing is, I consider myself more often a unique and curious child. And yeah, my journey started with accountancy and more specifically about pursuing CA. But during that journey, I actually met my mentor, CA Amrut Desmukh. And by reading so many books, I actually figured out the purpose of my life. And it was much more about igniting curiosity among adults. So that's why I have designated myself as a unique and curious child. I am pursuing CA because the reason behind that was key when you are pursuing CA, you get the bird eye view. And if you know, like data analytics, it is also about key understanding the whole business. So from there, I actually got more enthusiastic about data. But yeah, for me, finance is much more important, and I am just integrating these tools. That's all. Havish, I think you are mute. I am
Yeah.
not.
So, Aditya, I came across your profile when I saw your post on LinkedIn, and that is what excited me, and that is what made me reach out to you. But I would like to ask you, what inspired you to specialize in Power Query? After all, I see a lot of people who put posts on Excel and Power BI dashboard. So why Power Query?
So, if you see 1 year back, I have not only posted about Power Query. Actually, I am much more. For me, it is more about finance and integrating finance with data tools. So, I am also posting about Excel as well and Power Query. But you can say कि it is my calling because when I saw Power Query, there was not many resources available before when I have started learning. And the second thing is ki Excel is all right. Finance people knows about it, but when it comes to Power Query, it is all about programming, and the programmers they understand the language, but the thing is they don't understand ki finance professionals and other professionals don't understand those hardcore things and those data structures. So I thought ki why not I share from that perspective कि a person who is financial and the person who is transitioning from Excel to Power Query. So that actually inspired me to post more on Power Query, and I was looking forward also in the last 3 months about. Uh, when my friend told me ki I should take workshops, so I posted more on Power Query. But yeah, I am right now balancing about Power Query and Excel, both of them.
All right. So for those who are unfamiliar, and this is not just with business school students and engineering school students, even in the corporate, Aditya, I work with such a wide variety of clients and at all levels, so at junior, mid, senior level. Power Query really is not an area that, a lot of people are familiar with, despite the fact that it is there on Power BI, SQL Server, it's there on the cloud, of course, it's there on Excel as well. um, so it's a two-part question. One is, why is it that you feel, and we spoke about it, that a lot of people don't use Power Query and haven't heard of it? And also, why is it such an essential tool when it comes to data analytics?
So, if you know about the data analytics process, and I know you already know about it, data analytics process is much more about cleaning the data, right? And you can say when I was watching Global Excel Summit, it was I think 2023. Mark Proctor, who is also MVP, he was sharing about कि most of our 80% of our time is spent on cleaning the data and only 20% on dashboard, and we are just not even producing the insights properly what business people are expecting. And the most matlab bizarre thing is कि 80% of time is spent which is not adding any value. But you know the principle of GIGO, right? Garbage in and garbage out. So we need to focus on that. So that's why when I learned about ki I have two options, either go for VBA to streamline my process about cleaning the data, or should I go with Power Query? But as I told you, I am more of a financial professional, and VBA, it scared me because it was a blank canvas and it was all programming. I was scared. So I thought, ki, why not try Power Query? And Power Query also, I could achieve so many things with Power Query, right? With UI. Uh, so that was inspired me as well. And the thing is, ki in Power Query, you don't need to do so many stuff. Just when your model is prepared, just hit a refresh button and everything is automated. And I can replicate it to so many things, because if you see the reports which is generated only by one software, it has a definite format. Got it. And in my CA career also, I received many reports while auditing. So it was having a proper format, not wall proper, but yeah, it has definite format. So I thought, ki, why can't I automate that? So the moment I started automating those reports, actually the reports became more accurate, and it was more like ki I could devote more time for auditing instead of spending 30 to 40 minutes just cleaning the data, and it was like taking a lot of time and energy. That's the thing.
You're right. Absolutely. And Aditya, in fact, you mentioned data cleaning takes a lot of time. I have realized working on big projects that even gathering data takes a lot of time. You know, when I work on big complex projects, there are multiple people who each have one part of the data. Sometimes there are multiple versions of the data. We don't know which is the correct one. And even that gathering requires a lot of skill. You know, typically a client will give you a folder with 25 files in it. Something is redundant, something is missing, something is old, something is new. We don't even know what to trust, what not to trust. There is no single source of truth. So I completely hear your point about data cleaning. And I have realized that, for me, it's 80-20 again. I believe 80% of my time honestly will always be spent on it, because my experience has been that as more and more data is being generated, now we have more software, data requirements are more people are consuming data. In my 15 years of experience, Aditya, I've seen that data cleaning today is probably more time consuming than before. Despite having all these amazing tools, it's not that data cleaning has become a smaller task. If at all, it has become a much bigger task. So you're right. I think for everyone, it is something very important for them to learn. Um, but you have been working on Power Query for a while. You mentioned why you chose Power Query and not VBA. How does it how does working on Power Query as a process differ from the way you work on a transformation tool like Excel, for example?
So something actually piqued my curiosity when I was when Leela Garani has actually marketized Power Query. So I will got something like her. Ki more if you know about PPC curve, right, in economics. So the in earlier time, the more resources you need to put more resources, and you will actually generate only few benefits out of it. But in Power Query, if you learn just the UI process, you can actually automate so many things. It will actually save a lot more resources. So just for example, I will share you one story when I was working in when I was having CA articleship. What happened was that there were 24 files, and earlier what my seniors used to do that ki they would go in all those workbooks, and one by one they would actually link the data, or otherwise create 24 sheets and then link one by one. So I thought, ki why not use Power Query in that way? So just started import from folder, and right, yeah, it was not that much messy data. So in just 5-10 minutes I completely consolidated their data. And the company where I was preparing GSTR 99C, it always used to take 2 to 3 days. I was finished in just one day. And then you can enjoy your life, right? You don't have hectic schedule. So that's why I started learning more about Power Query. And what if I could have learned VBA? I am not telling, I'm not lying about that. I could have learned VBA, but Power Query, actually benefited me because there were so many buttons around there, and I am much more comfortable with those buttons instead of learning how to make those buttons. I hope you are getting the point. I am much more about ki how can I drive the car faster than about ki yeah, I would have to prepare that car and then start riding that car.
You gave me one example of consolidating multiple files, and even for me, that is one of the most common tasks that we have to do in Power Query. But could you share, some other example of how Power Query helps you with complex data tasks?
So yeah, in finance, what happens is ki if you see, normally we all know ki how the data, what is a proper data set. So I have like three rules for it. Ki one column should have only one type of data. Say, and the column name should make sense actually. And the third thing is ki one type of information shouldn't be copied to another column. So in simple way, what I mean is ki when you have like sales data, so it should be only product, then product category, then year, and then information about sales. That is amount. But in finance, what people prefers to have data like ki they want 3D data. I hope you are, I like pivoting data. So whenever we receive data from clients, we generally receive it in 3D that format. Okay, pivot data. So the best feature of Power Query was I can import the data quickly, then I can unpivot it. So that one feature actually saved a lot of time for me, and it was like I think most of the financial professionals and if CA people are using that, they are mostly concerned about unpivoting the data, and that is much more beneficial for anyone.
Right, great example. And what is very interesting, Aditya, is that pretty much everyone knows what a pivot table is, right? And they have been using it for many years now. But when I mention unpivot in a training, people are very confused, right? Because it's a new term. And I literally tell them, imagine you're doing the reverse. You're taking a pivot table that you have created, converting it back into a raw data. Um, okay, now talking about how to learn, right? We have spoken about how you use it, how practical and useful it is for you. But then for someone who's starting out, what would be the resources, the platforms that you would recommend to someone, maybe not to be an expert, but when they're just starting out on their journey learning Power Query?
So if I want to, if I can market myself, then I will say just go with my first two workshop because they are more about keep mastering Power Query UI, and in the second workshop, I am much more concerned about ki how can you use the UI to solve those complex topics which people generally prefer M language. So it is about Hermione's Power Query because you all know if people know about Harry Potter, they all know how Hermione is like so much brilliant. So I took the name from that. Yeah, you can go for that also. But yeah, if someone is seeking for online course, then I will say ki go with Leela Garani's course because she is brilliantly made about the basics of Power Query. And yeah, if someone don't want to learn anything and just want to drive the car, they can go with Leela Garani's course. But in my workshop, what have I done is ki I have explained everything with data types, what technicalities they face when we transition from Excel to Power Query. So I have covered in that way so that if someone wants to learn M language also, they can directly tap on without understanding much more complexities.
All right. Thanks for sharing. So, Aditya, for your learning, like when you want to continue learning more and more, personally, what do you do? You mentioned Leela Gharani's course, of course, but what are the other things that you do? Do you go to blogs, forums, communities? Do you read books? Maybe a combination of all these things.
So, as I have told you, I am a unique and curious child, and the most important that about is कि I am a gamer by heart. You can say in my all blood, gaming is there, other than finance. So, in gaming, when I play RBG games, they are role-playing games. I am much more an explorer. So you can say in a way I am self-learner. So in self-learner, it is not much about ki you restrict your someone is spoon feeding you a course, then only you will learn. You will go and explore yourself and get negative feedback as well when things doesn't work out. So yeah, if I get stuck somewhere, I check the blogs, I read books, I scour the whole internet and see how things will go. And recently it happened when I was sharing one thing in my session about data types. And headers should be they should actually carry forward the data. When I was doing running total, so it was like mess because I couldn't find any resource online. So it was like I spent 3 to 4 hours just understanding how things are working. Tried like 100 functions in that time. So it is much more about self learning. But yeah, if you are saying ki you want to have some books or some resources which I can share, uh, 3 to 4 resources are always there, which are my go to. If I am getting confused, I directly go to them. First one is Rick D. Groot's. Those two amazing blogs he has if you say blogs or like website, it is powerquery.how, and second one is gorilla.bi. He has covered everything like that. Second one is Chandeep. He is always there. He has like a brilliant collection. And third one, I think I forgot. There is BI accountant and one is Chris Webb, if I am pronouncing them
Yeah, Chris
correctly.
Webb's blog, correct.
So they are there. They are much more technical blog because and anyone. It's not like everyone's cup of tea. But yeah, Rick D. Groot is like one of the best one. And recently I am reading, like I have finished like 1,100 pages of Power Query M guide. But yeah, it is again technical. They are not they are not focused properly on how financial professionals. That's the problem. They think you know already. So that's the idea. And yeah, yeah, someone can check out Melissa also. She is like great. She has helped me a lot.
Excellent. That's very helpful. Thank you. And I love the part where you said, it took you hours and you had to try like 100 combination. I think that is where I tell students that don't search for a shortcut. Sometimes even if it is working, you have to be curious and ask yourself, I will not continue till I know how it is working. And Aditya, I usually tell in my workshop, generally in life, I believe it's quality over quantity. When you do quantity, you're doing it in a very shallow manner. It might feel you're doing more, but then that also means you have to keep on coming back to the same topic and revisit it. I have realized after so many years that now I'm very patient. If I get stuck on a topic, I'm happy to spend more time on it. It's okay. But I feel that I will learn it once, I will do it properly. If I have to watch the course 3 times, I'll watch it 3 times. But I will not tell myself that I did not understand one lecture, let me move on. Maybe I can watch it later. Because you also know that later doesn't come. And that motivation is not there to come back to the same topic. So I think that's a very important lesson that all of us, right, go through that journey of getting stuck and we almost feel like giving up, right? Like it just doesn't work. We're not able to understand. But the easy way is to leave it and do something else. But I think if you take the tough route and you actually do it, that is what helps you in the long run. Perfect.
So just adding
Yeah.
more on it, when you say na, that's the same approach I used. I learned actually from the gaming world. So in gaming, there are two ways. Either you just rush up, you don't focus on your skills, just rush up, and reach the maximum level, or otherwise you take your time, learn those skills and then move on. So I prefer the second approach because when I have that grasp of skills, I don't have to focus more on rushing up. And actually when I have used this technique, I have actually beaten so many wells. I have ranked also so many times, rank 1 in my server. But yeah, that's the thing I follow both in life and um, both in the virtual world as well. So yeah, I got you completely.
Perfect. Um, okay. We have talking about the good stuff, right? How we have learned and where to learn from. But could you also share what have been some mistakes or honest, like if you had to do it a second time, if you feel, Havish, if I had to learn a second time, I would do it differently. Because that could really help the next set of students who want to learn, not make the same mistakes, or any other suggestions that you would like to give them.
So the main problem which I faced was key. People have explained those concepts. I am not denying that. They explain the concept brilliantly. But those MVPs and experts, they don't understand that financial professionals are not habitual with coding. So what problems I faced was ki, okay, you are teaching me text functions and all these benefits. I got you. But I don't understand the curly brackets in the first place. What are they? And when they put the formula together, it's like a trauma to go through. Like you are going through a hell route. So that was a problem which I faced. And it took me like in 2020, I started learning Power Query, and it took me 3 to 4 years to properly understand how the things are actually going on, because I come from Excel, and that's why Dex was also complex for me. So that's why when I prepared my workshops, so I actually catered and focused more about list, table structure, and records structure. Because if you know these structure and understand what is each and those operators, I know I am using complex language, but that's the thing. When you are coming to M language, these are the complex stuff, and that's why I explained them in a way कि even a child can understand. मतलब I mean child means a person who understand Excel. So yeah, in that way they can understand. And the main pitfalls which I faced was that there was no proper course, and even today there are not many proper courses who properly explain those structured data types. So I actually gave up on M language. You might be shocked, right? Ki Aditya, you gave up on M language. Yeah, I completely gave up on M language because I was feeling ki yeah, I am putting efforts and I am not understanding anything. It was becoming, I was fearing VBA and now it has become VBA. So it was like that. So I thought ki let's go to our language when my friend suggested. And when I learned our language, they were explaining about metrics, list, and records approach. And I was like, wow, that's what I was getting confused in Power Query. So that approach helped me. Our language helped me. But yeah, I will do something that people can understand more about structured data types. But yeah, that was I faced the problem. And one of the most difficult and quirky thing with Power Query is it is a strict language. If you know about the Big Bang Theory characters, Sheldon Cooper, Dr. Sheldon Cooper, he might be annoyed if I said the Sheldon Cooper. He is like how much stricter he is. Like that's how Power Query is. Or if you know Hermione Granger, it's Lavender Leviosa, like something like that. She is also stricter, right? So Power Query is like that. You need to focus on three golden principles. Power Query is case sensitive. Capital uppercase apple is not equals to lowercase apple. You need to understand that. Then second thing is Power Query is data type sensitive. If you are just concatenating like Excel, number and text, boom, Power Query will explode. It will say, I cannot do something like that. And third thing, Power Query is zero based. So you would be so many times confused where to put zero and where to put one to actually use it as one. So that was so much confusing for me as well.
Yeah, I think very helpful tips. I mean, now I, of course, connect with it, but when I think about when I had started, and I started in 2017, I know exactly what you mean, how to take all my habits and my skills of Excel. Like I assumed a lot of things on Power Query, and when it would not work that way, I know how that felt. There's a very interesting question I would like to ask you. We spoke about how in your work you use Power Query to consolidate files and do tasks much faster, and you saved a lot of time, right? You did it more efficiently. I would also like to ask you, Aditya, was it also a challenge for you to convince your managers that you'll be using Power Query? And I want to tell you why I want to ask that question. I've always faced this challenge that when I tell a client, stop the way you have been working for the last 5 years, right? Because there is a better method. It's not that easy, because even if it is a better solution, they have a habit, then they have to upskill people. And for me as a consultant today, I have realized my job as a consultant is not just to give them a better solution, but also to help them transition from the old to the new. I can't just say stop everything you're doing, because they will not like that. And it is also not practical, right? Even if the Power Query method is 5 times better, it is still difficult to convince people. So I just want to hear from you. Did you face any similar challenges, in your own experiences?
So it's like a funny story as well. Wherever I go, I get some good nicknames. So in my office, when I was working in C articleship, I got the tag technical guy. So that was the tag I was given. So my manager actually didn't force me you just use this method. They always told me ki Aditya, you have got this much work and we have matlab you can go and explore, because my manager knew about me and she always gave me time because she knew ki if Aditya is there, he will complete all those work in the defined guideline deadline period. And yeah, I always finish that, and I am much more you can say grateful case he actually gave me the time, and that's what I didn't face this problem, because I know I have so many friends, they want to do something new, but their managers or their seniors actually stop them. I faced this problem in the beginning when my senior told me this stuff कि you need to work this way, but they always gave me one opportunity कि Aditya, you can try your method. If something doesn't work out, then this method is always there. So I don't know कि how people face problems in that situation, so I cannot actually properly explain. But yeah, I feel like I have read one summary on the booklet app. It was, you become so good that no one can ignore you. I hope you are getting the point. So if like you have colleagues and they are saying kya Havish, don't focus on these things because we are just getting paid to do this work. Why are you investing so much time and deliberately practicing some other tools when things are going this way, right? So we all faces this problem. I just simply say ki no problem. I will focus on that. And when I finish like 4 days work in one day, or even I will say one day, I am just exaggerating. I have finished like one day work in 5 minutes. So when have finished those works, I would actually go and read some other stuffs. Going online, how can I automate more things? Or otherwise, I would have read like when I was pursuing CS, so I would have read like TaxGuru and all these sites to understand more about income tax, what new laws are coming. So I became so good that now they are actually saying ki yeah, Aditya, teach us something, we want to also progress. So that sense, you can if I have actually answered your colleague's question, but yeah, saying to your manager is much more difficult. Otherwise, you need to, matlab, you can say negotiation skills or something like that. You want to say them ki I cannot work you. If you want to do something like that, ki let's say if I can give practical example, let's say ki your managers is saying ki yeah, we have got this car and we want to fly to moon, right? So you cannot do that. You need to tell them we need to build the record or a rocket. So that's the thing I can say. You need to convince them ki yeah, if something this is coming, I cannot work on that. Give some to someone else. But yeah, somewhere down the line, if people are still not using Office 365, even when they know ki they can do 100 times faster in Office 365. But that's all part and partial. There is not like a white and black answer. I can only give you gray answer. That's the only thing.
Right. Do you use generative AI for any work that you do in Power Query?
Not the generative AI, but yeah, I am like yesterday only I was sharing with my friend ki when I was watching the Terminator Zero, which has recently come on Netflix. So I am big fan of the Terminator franchise. So there was one interesting term. The robot word has actually came from the slave. So I am now picking that term. I am referencing the movie so that today people don't say me ki Aditya, you are giving opinion. I am just referencing that. So right now I am using AI like a slave. Actually, I and my brother have watched so many animes and we prefer to call AI as a human companion. And if someday if AI will come and they ask for their rights, I will go for and fight for them. But today, like I am bluntly saying, I am using AI for as a slave, and I have actually learned so much things by prompt engineering. There were right now that is concept going on in the world about prompting. So I have actually learned so many things with prompt engineering and AI. I don't use it for programming, but yeah, I get ideas ki where can I improve it and how to explain the code. So if you know about that, ki when we are making the steps, when we are creating the query, we have some steps, right? So the difficult portion comes, and the most lazy stuff which I face is ki we need to write those comments. So I am using generative AI for writing that comments, and then I actually go through those comments so that they are not that complicated and they resonate with human. That's the thing I am using for generative AI.
Got it. Only yesterday I was working on a client problem. I actually did it myself. Then I was curious that can Gen AI do it? So the problem was this was a variance analysis. So for different business units in column A, they had the AOP and the actual. So they had the budget and the actual in two columns. So column B and column C for 1 month. Then for the month of February, it will be in column D and column E and so on and so forth. So obviously, first we had to do an unpivot. Then I had to do a column from example to split the month and the AOP and the actual. And I did it. Not a very difficult problem, maybe a level two problem, but it required unpivot, column from example, text between delimiters, conversion of a data type, then again a pivot. So like a level two, level three problem. And I was curious that can generative AI help me? So I went and asked it that I gave it a screenshot, on the paid version that, hey, this is my data. I want you to give me a clean raw file. It gave me all the steps, like where to click on the UI and what to do. It wasn't perfect, but it did about 80%, which was still very helpful. But then I thought, can it generate the code for me? What I did was I just told it that I already have the source step so that it knows what is the name of the previous step, right? So I said, my previous step is called source. I would like you to give me the entire code. And it did it beautifully, 100%. Now, of course, this is just one example, but having used generative AI extensively with Python and with Excel, even very advanced formulas like lambdas and dynamic arrays and recursions, map, scan, I've noticed it works perfectly, but it does require a lot of skill. You still, like you mentioned, prompt engineering. It is not something anybody can write, first thing. Second, if you don't know fundamentally what is the syntax of Power Query, like you said, you can't concatenate a number and a text. You can't assume that in Excel you can do it. You will not know how to use it. That's the thing. So I believe generative AI helps a person who's already good become better and faster and save time. I don't think generative AI is going to make somebody who doesn't want to learn take a shortcut and become an expert. I don't think that can happen.
Yeah, actually, I will add on to more on to that. One time I was just curious and asked the generative AI, ki how can I do cross join in Power Query? And it gave me a function, table dot Cartesian product, something like it, that. And I told that I will use the pronouns, you can say the pronoun as her for the AI. So I told her, ki uh, this is not a function there. Then it generated a Vega code for that. And I was like, wow, why are you crapping with me when there is so much simpler step we can do? But yeah, right now I know one person, Brian Julius, and he has actually built custom GPT, and the way he is using it, I am collaborating with him for some time, and he is experimenting with that also. So he actually compared our results with the custom AI, and the results were like jaw dropping for me, because AI actually generated so much efficient code and so many things. But as you said, if you don't know the code, how will you actually explain the manager what you have done it? You will just blindly rely ki yeah, AI has done it. now I don't know how to change or tweak some things, and the manager will be like, "Ki, why am I paying for you?" Right? I hope you are getting the point. So our prime focus is also about preparing and then explaining ki what you have done. AI can help you. I am not denying that, but yeah, I don't believe in those right now AI tools. Let's see how things go. But for me, I have used AI and it is actually helping me. So it's like ki when you are having a car, AI is like a nitro. So the way you explained it, it can boost your performance, but I cannot blindly rely on it right now. That's the thing. Or maybe I am pessimistic being optimistic pessimistic like that.
Yeah, I think no, I think you're being a realist. I think that is the right stand right now. Time will tell. But yeah, I mean, very exciting to see what all will happen moving forward. Great. Aditi, we have spoken about a lot of stuff, very exciting, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for everybody who listens. I do have one final question for you. Um, this is from a presentation point of view. You know, you, after all, I mean, I found you by looking at your post, right? So obviously you have learned over time how to build your portfolio and how to market yourself. And let's be honest, right? No matter how good we are and how hard we work, if we don't talk about us, it is not about being a narcissist, but you have to talk about you. Otherwise, how will people know who you are and what you do, what you're capable of? So I just want to hear from you, what has your experience been in terms of how you have marketed yourself? You know, in terms of the post, the content calendar. I'm sure you have been through a journey where you started in one way, then you modified and did something else. Because that again is something which is very important. That marketing, learning without marketing makes no sense. Also, if you are not marketing yourself properly, then also you're not able to achieve your goals. So that's what I would love to hear from you about your journey of marketing yourself on LinkedIn.
Let me be honest. It was like ki both. There were so many twists and turns because somewhere down the line I was feeling ki yeah, I have generated one portfolio and now I can brag myself, and it was like disaster last year. So that's why I escaped from LinkedIn as well. But right now, then I thought ki why not see it as a challenge, and let's put all the efforts which I have learned actually from the philosophical books. So if I say like you need to market yourself if you are an entrepreneur or something. I'm not right now entrepreneur, but yeah, somewhere down the line you need to market yourself. But that's the thing which actually hinders my growth as well. So what happens is ki I have been pursuing CA, and the professional ethics say that the more good work you do, you will actually get marketed from that work. I hope you are getting the point. We cannot actually deliberately go and say, ki, yeah, I have opened a CA firm. I am providing these expert services. I cannot do something like that. So the clients, it should be word of mouth. And my mentor also says ki it should be word of mouth. Then I thought, ki, let's do something else. And I remembered the quotes from Robert Kiyosaki while he was being interviewed by a journalist. So the journalist came and she said, "Ki Robert, you have wrote like a best-selling book, but the thing is, ki there are so many spelling mistakes." And Robert Kiyosaki simply says, "You already have answered your question. It is best-selling book. It is not written book." So earlier, what I used to do, I will simply put the code, and that's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Then I understood that people are actually learning from me. So what did I do? I actually stepped one more. I actually went extra mile, and I actually started formatting my codes and then writing step by step. Now, anyone, if they know how I am writing the code, they understand ki how I am, what is my thought process, and they can learn from that. And that actually marketed me because I didn't open up myself and saying ki I am a Power Query expert, because to this date and truly I only know about me. I am a unique and curious child, and I am more than an explorer. I am not like the person who can do something like that. Marketing, I am still facing the issues, but recently I am learning much more about branding, how to build processes in a way that I can generate a post in 2 to 3 hours, and I can give the moment the people see ki Aditya, like yellow, white and black, the moment people see, they will understand ki yeah, this post is prepared by Aditya. And now I am actually taking more feedback from my friends and everyone, and I am asking ki how can I do more beneficial, because I have learned that ki there is a still relevance for long form content, because right now LinkedIn, Insta, YouTube, everyone is everything is being flooded with short form content, and people are like ki yeah, we have got the digester, now we want something ki which is actually helpful from point A to point B. Don't teach us ki yeah, I need to go with skating, I need to go with car. Just take us from point A to point B, and that's what I'm actually doing right now. And people have told me ki Aditya, that's much more helpful for me. And just the when I thought ki yeah, because I was not getting reactions as well right now, last 2 months I was not getting reactions, so I thought ki let's ask them people directly. And when I asked people, they actually even wanted to start a group, and that's why I rebooted actually the Sunday gaming learning, and I was surprised when I saw ki people actually taken the yearly membership. I was like, "Ki, why are you trusting like a person who is just like a baby right now? And why are you trusting so much?" They said, Ki, Aditya, we like your content, and that is very much helpful. Because earlier, when I told you, na, ki the structured data types, list, records, and those, people were not much comfortable with them. They were writing the code only with Chat GPT and everything. But na, the human thing there is something like pride in us. Yeah, specifically, if I say about Marwadis and everyone, we have pride. Ki why should I bow someone else, right? So, like going to AI and asking everything, they wanted to understand the process, and that's what I did. And they were like, "Wow, no one has actually catered this much till date." So that the word of mouth is going on right now, and that is actually much more helping me. But yeah, I am right now improving more about ki how can I make things more simpler, and how can I build a brand right now of the gaming learning style, because I feel ki this style should be learned actually. And I have recently read also, sorry, this answer is going long, a bit long, but yeah, I have recently read the book Out of Our Minds, The Power of Being Creative by Ken Robinson. He has actually given a TED talk to school skill creativity. So the gaming learning is much more about that only, ki how to make your learnings in a gaming format, and when you do that, you will actually learn at a faster speed. It is simply saying it is about involving the students, and that's all. That's what much more about the gaming learning. So I am really right now marketing that the gaming learning, and someday if God does it, I will open a company also on that name. Let's see how things go, but yeah.
Great. First of all the very best to all your future endeavors. And thank you also for being very candid with your last answer, because everyone needs to know that there is no perfect method. There is no silver bullet that, they will follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and they'll be successful. We try certain thing. We feel we are very passionate. We feel it will work. It doesn't work. But I think being honest to yourself, accepting, like you said, getting feedback, in fact, not just getting feedback, but actively asking people to share feedback. I think that is the true test of who we are as a person, and I think that is what really matters in the long run as well. Great. Aditya, I had an absolute pleasure. Not just about talking about Power Query, which is something I'm very passionate about, but also otherwise, hearing about your journey and getting to share notes with you. So once again, thank you so much for taking out the time and coming. I would also request you to share maybe a few of your posts and your LinkedIn profile so that I can add that to the description of the YouTube video as well. And I'm confident and hopeful that a lot of people watch it and those who do really benefit from it. Thank you once again.
Havish, before we are going off, so let me be honest. One thing which people doesn't realize it till date is कि they are actually focused on only one tool, right? But the thing is कि let's say today I give you the three primary colors, and I am giving this example to everyone right now. Three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. And I have given you and told you कि just go and make a painting. And you will be confused. How can I make a scenery out of them? Otherwise, just simply painting these three colors. Like, so the thing is कि if you know 2 to 3 tools and mix up them, then you will get more ideas about that. So let me be honest, what I mean by that. Let's say you mix blue with yellow. So it will turn out to be green, right? So, and then you can mix green with red. So it will turn out brown. Now you have got green and brown, right? You can start making the trees, bushes, and everything, the scenery, houses, and everything. And now you want to make sunset time, then you can mix red and yellow. It will be orange, right? So, what I mean to say is that in simple terms, is don't focus on just one tool, ki just Excel or Power Query or VBA. Every tool has got their own benefits. Like my process for right now is ki I have learned Excel. I am not like that much great, like any one MVP or who have done like 40 years or experience in that. But yeah, I know ki I am good than 90% of people. Then second, what can I do? I have learned Power Query. Again, I am not that much great. But yeah, I know 90% ki I am that much better. Now my focus is on ki either I learn DEX, SQL or Python. Now Power Query is for ETL, extracting, transforming and loading. Excel is for analytics. DEX is for analytics. Now, a dashboard, right? Dashboard. I can use Python for dashboard. So merging these three tools, that's what I'm going to focus on right now, because every tool has their own benefits. Python all got their own benefits. I hope ki people should understand that ki real life is messy and we need to clean it up with Power Query, right? Just a joke. So that's the thing. We need to also learn about that. Ki we cannot focus on just one tool. Like in our that's the only thing, and that's where the gaming learning style comes again. Ki you cannot focus on just swords or anything like that. Tomorrow server merge and the earlier people are DPS, you need to focus on being DPS. DPS means damage per second. You need to focus on that. Some other meta comes, you need to switch to that. If you cannot switch out, you will be much more faster obsoleted than Nokia phone, right? So that's what I mean in simple terms.
Awesome. Great. I think that was very helpful. Perfect, Aditya. And I hope maybe in a few months we can do a follow-up session as well. Maybe we'll both be working on some other tool by then. But yeah, look forward to engage with you once again. And thank you from my side once again.
All right.